Alright, so I know it's been a very long time since I've updated on this channel. This is very likely going to be the last video going on this channel. I have fully acknowledged that and embrace it and accept it. And I just don't care anymore. I don't care anymore. I've been deplatformed several times for having unpopular opinions, and this is probably going to be my least unpopular opinion. But again, and I cannot stress this enough, I don't care. So what I want to talk about today is the situation in Ukraine, because almost everyone I know is speaking from a context of the past month, when this entire situation is the product of years and years and years of conflict inside of the country. So let's take this back about a decade. This is when I actually started paying attention to the Ukraine situation. Yeah, that long ago. It's been going for over a decade. So the Donetsk People's Republic sought to secede from the Ukrainian government. So did the Crimean people. And the Ukrainian government, not so much in Crimea, but in the Donbass, where the Donetsk People's Republic is. The Ukrainian government carried out a war of attrition in many ways on the Donbass. I've been watching civilians being murdered by the government in the Donetsk People's Republic region for over a decade. And y'all need to understand what that actually means. There are kids in DPR, Donetsk People's Republic. There are kids in DPR that are 10 years old and have not lived a single day outside of a bunker. They have lived every day of their lives for 10 years inside of a bomb shelter. The scope of human suffering in the DPR region, the Donbass, it's almost indescribable. And I was telling a story on my other channel, where I'm not going to be posting as much of this opinion because I'm trying to keep it up. This channel is going to be gone after this video. I almost guarantee it. But there was a reporter who I started following on DTube back in the day. Y'all remember DTube? He had already been in the region for a while, and he was covering the war from the eastern side of the front. So he was and is embedded with the DPR, who are fighting alongside Russian forces right now. And he has been for years. And his D2 actually got taken down, which is amazing because D2 was supposed to be a censorship-free platform. And I'm not going to tell you his name. I'm not going to tell you how I got back in touch with him. Because I'm not going to let him get canceled. I'm just not. It's already happened to him several times. He has been deplatformed several times, and I'm not going to do it again. So if you want his name, you can eat my whole you know what. And I found him again. He still has a 5-year catalog. 5-year catalog of being embedded with the DPR during this conflict. I was watching one of his videos the other day, and he was telling me about a woman whose house was actually shelled during the conflict I think it was about 6 or 7 years ago. Her house in one of the suburbs of Donetsk got hit with a shell. Her husband died. The house was destroyed. She rebuilt. And a little over a week ago, another shell hit her house and it's gone again. She wasn't home for it, thankfully. But yeah, it's astounding because like there's a YouTuber who I actually respect his opinion a lot on warfare. It's Original Human Luke Jillings, and I was watching. He does updates about the situation in Ukraine, but he gives it completely from the perspective of mainstream Western media. To be more specific, all of his information comes from BBC, all of it. And he was saying that Vladimir Putin needs to pay for the civilian casualties that have happened in Ukraine. And I agree with that. I do agree with that. Civilian casualties are unacceptable in warfare. I understand kinetic warfare tends to create a lot of civilian casualties, but that doesn't make them acceptable. Someone should still have to answer for them. So yes, someone should answer for the civilian casualties in Western Ukraine. However, oh, hold up. Cancel later. Okay. However, someone should also be held accountable for all of the civilian casualties in the Donbass region during the fights between the Azov Battalion, which, let me remind you, the Azov Battalion are openly tiny mustache. They are tiny mustache folks, and they don't try to hide it at all. So when this whole thing started about a month ago, and you were hearing about denazification, and the Western media was like, there are none of those in Ukraine, that's a lie. That is a flat out lie. The Azov Battalion is openly tiny mustache. They have the symbols on their equipment, on their flags, everything. They are openly tiny mustache. And they have been carrying out human rights atrocities in the Donbass for a decade. I mean, civilian casualties, torture, all these different things in the Donbass for a decade. And nobody cared. Nobody cares. See, that's the part that bothers me the most. That is the part that bothers me the most, is that everyone on planet Earth is up in arms about what's happening in Ukraine over the past month. But not one person gave a shit what happened in Ukraine from 10 years ago until a month ago. Nobody cared. Civilian casualties left and right, nobody cared. Torturing civilians, nobody cared. Nobody cared. And now, all of a sudden, now that an unfortunate but actually logical response has been implemented, because if you're the DPR, if you are the citizens in the Donbass and in the Crimea, and you are undergoing civilian casualties every single day for years on end, would it not over time become logical to proportionately return that? And now we're all mad, and we should be, because it is bad. But it is a proportional reaction to years of human rights atrocities. And nobody wants it, like we're all pretending like it didn't happen. We have these massive online social media campaigns, government, state-involved campaigns with social media and regular broadcast, mainstream media, to just pretend like it didn't happen. That every time a video comes up talking about it, disappears. Every time an article comes up talking about it, disappeared. Glenn Greenwald and Matt Taibbi are getting their stuff removed now from media. What? They're the most reputable journalists in my entire generation. Are you kidding me? And that's why I'm not going to give up the name of my dude that I've been following since the DTube years, who even got deplatformed on DTube for covering the situation in the Crimea. That's where he was during his DTube time. He was actually stationed in the embedded in the Crimea. And I think everybody just needs to take 5 seconds, sit back, think about it. If you have to carry out these massive campaigns of deplatforming, even the State Department got into it after Undersecretary Newland spilled it in front of a congressional hearing that, in fact, there were biological research facilities inside of Ukraine. Documents that were on the State Department website, or on the Defense Department's website, that had been there for over a decade, talking about how our research facilities in Ukraine had been refitted to do GOF research on former Soviet weapons. Those documents that had been there for over a decade on the Defense Department's website, the links went dead. The PDFs just disappeared, and now all of a sudden it didn't happen. Something that's been a fact for over a decade just isn't a fact anymore because the media doesn't like it and the government doesn't want to admit it anymore. And we have this massive social programming going on right now where we're being fed a narrative and nobody's questioning it. Not one person is questioning it. And I don't know what to do at this point. I really don't know what to do at this point because I'm watching people be brainwashed on a scale that I've never seen people be brainwashed before. And like, I even fell for it a little bit because like when this whole thing started and I was being reinforced constantly, oh, stand with Ukraine, stand with Ukraine. And I will stand with the civilians of Ukraine, but the government of Kiev can shove it. But stand with Ukraine and stand with Ukraine and stand with Ukraine. And it got to the point where I was like, maybe all that stuff that I watched happen with my own eyes, all those documents that I read with my own eyes from the DOD, from the State Department, talking about these exact things, maybe it just didn't happen. And then I actually, speaking of Matt Taibbi, we recently had Facebook, Meta, all of these social media platforms have reduced restrictions on pro-tiny mustache speech to allow people to praise the Azov battalion. But they aren't tiny mustache. We have to remove restrictions on pro-tiny mustache content just so you can say something good about this group of soldiers. But they're definitely not tiny mustaches. I'm going nuts. I'm going absolutely nuts with what's happening right now, and it's so difficult. It's so difficult. Anyway, I just want to give that update. It's been nice having this channel. It's probably going to disappear, like, in the next 24 hours. I don't even know if this is going to get past the check when I upload it. But if it does, I'm going to share it, and you should share it too, because it's probably not going to be here that long. But yeah. Everyone just needs to take a step back and reject their programming, because this situation is ridiculous. This is the most one-sided thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Stay vigilant.